Okay, next we'll discuss the task list and the to-do comment. So to-do is useful for creating a to-do list right in your code files. And this is great because they can be accessed in the task list. And so as you can see, they start with that double forward slash and then to-do, and then you write like what it is that you still have to do. The task list is used to track code comments that use tokens such as to-do. It also manages shortcuts that take you to some predefined or bookmarked location in your code file. And so I'll talk about how you can access the task list and how to do these to-do comments next. Okay, so it's fairly easy to use these to-do comments. You simply write a single line comment like this and then go to-do like this. So we have a to-do here. Now, how can we see like this? Of course, in some cases you might have multiple to-dos in multiple files. Also, it might be like 8,000 lines. Okay, our programs are fairly simple in this first module, but you might have hundreds or even thousands of lines of code in a single file, and again across multiple files. Your project can span multiple files, as we've seen before, header files, right? So multiple header and source files. So to view our to-dos, you can go to the task list, and that is in view, the view menu, and under other windows, then you have the task list down here. You can see that will bring it up, and you can see here to do something. Double click on that and it will take you right to that line. I'll just close this off and show you that you can bring that up using a shortcut, that is Control and the backslash. And then down here in the status bar, you can see that we have Control backslash was pressed, waiting for the second key of the chord. Now, what is this chord stuff? Well, that simply means in Visual Studio you can press multiple kind of sections of a hotkey. So you can do Control forward slash and then pause like I'm doing here, and then you can press the second part of that. Okay, so it's part of a hotkey to get something done. It might be Control something and then Control something again, or Shift something and Shift something again, you know, stuff like that. So that is a chord. It's basically like a string of commands that you feed in for Visual Studio to execute some task. Okay, so in this case, we've already pressed Control backslash. Now I'll press T, and then you can see it will bring up the task list again. You can see that hotkey right in view, other windows, and task list, Control backslash, and then T. Okay, I'll just go and delete the stuff, and I'll show you what this is useful for. So we can have a to-do up here. Now, by the way, you can write it like this as well, and you'll see it will still show up to do something. But for the most part, I prefer to use these capitalized like this, simply to make it easy to see that to do in a comment. Okay, I'll write another one here. Now, what this allows us to do is it allows us to plan out our programs. Now, as a beginner, this will be very useful to you. So you can start to plan stuff out before you actually write your code. And that is important. If you are just messing around, it will probably take even longer to build a fairly complex like algorithm or something to, you know, do what you want to do. It's important to plan or design your programs. And again, this is one way of doing that. It's like sticky notes or, you know, some canvas that allows us to plan stuff out. So right at the top here, to do, let's say we want to write a program that goes through a few names that you enter in the keyboard, and it looks for a specific name. And if that name is in that list, then print something out to the screen. Something like this, enter a bunch of names from the keyboard. Of course, this will mean you will have to store that in a string of variables. So you'll have to create variables to then enter those names from the keyboard. There are various ways of doing this. We're not concerned with that right now. We're not concerned with loops and all of that stuff right now. I'm just kind of showing you a quick example here. Enter names from the keyboard, for example. Okay, so here we can see that we check if some name is then in the list of, that we entered from the keyboard, and if so, then do something. So of course we have to talk about if statements, we have to talk about looping through a list of variables, right? So that's not really the point here. The point is this allows us to go and plan out our programs, even at a basic level for small programs. Once we have a bunch of variables and we have the functionality written out to enter a bunch of names from the keyboard, then we will simply delete this comment. Similarly, if we've written the functionality to check if Bob is in the list of names, then we'll delete this. Then once we've printed this or something else, so if Bob is not in the list of names, we print something else, maybe like so if Bob is in the list of names, print boo, else print yay, okay? Stuff like that. So it's a silly example, but once you have the functionality written in to do what you want to do, then you can delete these comments. And of course, as you can see now, they all show up in the task list. If you click on one of them, it'll go to that line. So double click here, enter names from keyboard, it'll go to that line. So we can now start to edit that, remove it, or implement that functionality. Okay, I'll spam the Ctrl-Z button to get this code back here. So what we can do is we can do shortcuts. It's like bookmarks in your code file. So firstly, you want to click like where you want to place a bookmark. So in this case, I'll just place it maybe here where we have this output. So I'll go to Edit, Bookmarks, Add Task List Shortcut. And you can see what I talked about previously. Here we do two commands, Ctrl+K and then Ctrl+H. I'll show that shortly. So I'll just click Add Task List Shortcut. And now you can see this arrow here appears. And in the task list, which is still open, that shows up here. Okay, so double click on that and it will take me to that. You can scroll all the way down, double click on this, it will take me to that line. You can also, like I mentioned, you can press Ctrl-K, so Ctrl-K, and then we have to, you can see waiting for a second chord, Ctrl-K and then Ctrl-H. All right, and now we have these two shortcuts that show up in our task list. Okay, so you can also go to View, and then you have Next Task, okay, View again, Next Task, View, Previous Task. So you can go through them like that, or you can click in the task list. So you can also right click in the task list, you can right click over here, and then you can do Next Task, Previous Task, and so forth. Okay, so how do we remove those? Well, you can again click like in that line where you have the task list shortcut, do Ctrl-K, then Ctrl-H, okay, that shortcut, and you'll see that will remove that. Similarly, you can go to Edit, Bookmarks, and remove task list shortcut. Again, Ctrl-K, and then Ctrl-H. You'll see that will remove those shortcuts. You also have bookmarks, as you've seen, so yeah, you can toggle a bookmark. So that's Ctrl-K, Ctrl-K. And in this case, you can go again to Edit, Bookmarks. You see they won't show up in the task list, right? And now you can do Next Bookmark and so on. So you can jump between those bookmarks. The shortcut for that is Ctrl-K, Ctrl-N. So Ctrl-K, Ctrl-N. And of course, you can do bookmarks. You can toggle the bookmark. Again, Ctrl-K, Ctrl-K to add or remove those bookmarks. And you can go clear those bookmarks. And I'll just say yes. So we can also bring up a bookmark window. So I can go to View and then Bookmark Window. Ctrl-K, Ctrl-W for that. You can see that if I add a bookmark right here, that will show up in the bookmark window. You can go to Bookmarks, toggle bookmark as I showed you, and you can double click to toggle between those. You can right click and you have delete or rename in there as well. I'll just add another one. Again, you can right click on here and rename it, give it a custom name. So my cool bookmark, for example, press enter to confirm. Here in the toolbar, you can also switch to go to the previous or the next bookmark, and you can disable those bookmarks. You can see that the icon for that will change. Now if we go to previous or next bookmark locations, that will not jump the cursor. But you can still do that in the bookmark window. If you double click, it will jump. Now I'll just enable all of them again. You can toggle that here in this toolbar. You can see the icon for that will change. You can also toggle here, clicking these checkboxes. You can toggle individual bookmarks, whether they are enabled or disabled. And so here you can again set the cursor and then enable that bookmark if you want. Again, it's a bit faster maybe in the bookmarks window. I would like to mention a fast way of doing this is probably in this toolbar up here. So again, you want to click in the line where you want to place a bookmark. Then you have options to move to the next or the previous bookmark, as we've seen. You also have this option, of course, to clear all of your bookmarks. So one quick hotkey, now that we've talked about those chords, is let's say we want to comment all of this stuff out. It would be tedious to go and write like that each time. So we'll talk about more of these hotkeys as we go along, but what you can do is you can select all of this code to comment all of those out at the same time. You can do Control K and then Control C to comment. You can see that that'll add a single line comment to each one of those. Select all of those again, Control K, and then Control U to uncomment. I would like to mention that you have these options in the toolbar to comment. Okay, so you can click anywhere in a line and then you can add, so place the cursor and then click to comment that out. You can see it will comment out that entire line. It's a single line comment. Then you can click the option to the right that will basically uncomment. Now it's important to notice like what I have selected. I had the cursor placed like anywhere. I did not have a specific section selected. Okay, and then if you click comment, it will comment out that entire line. So it will add a single line comment. But here I can do or select a specific part. So that assignment operator and 97, if I have that selected and I press comment, it's going to add a multi-line comment. Okay, it's going to comment out only that section and the compiler will not ignore the entire line. It's only going to ignore whatever it is that I comment out. So it's as if we have this declared but not initialized in this case. But I can still go and copy and paste my age here, the camel case one, and compile and run this and you'll see this will work. You might get a warning, but that's fine. The program still works. And here I have to select that entire multi-line comment and then uncomment. So it's important to pay attention to your selection. Here, if I select like this, it's going to add single line comments. If I select like this, however, where I select like a code line partially, right, where I have only a partial selection of a line, again, and you click comment, it's going to add a multi-line comment. And that goes for if I select top down or bottom up, doesn't really matter. So in this case, I'll just select this line, click anywhere in that line and click comment. You'll see it'll add a single line comment. I have to select that entire multi-line comment section before I click uncomment, and that will then uncomment that. I can select this variable, highlight that variable, click comment, and because it's a section right within a line, it's going to only comment out that section, and you do that again with a multi-line comment. So now I can paste my age again, that snake case one, and it's going to print. The compiler is going to ignore the variable that is commented out, and I can run this and it will actually work. So again, just highlighting the importance of paying attention to, again, if you simply click in a line, it's going to add single line comments. But if you have a line selected, so a section or subsection of a code line selected, then it'll add a multi-line comment. And again, that is within a single line or spanning across multiple lines. So you'll have to get used to this by actually practicing this stuff. Again, watching videos on programming is only that useful. You have to actually go and practice the stuff. And of course, this is the easy way, clicking the toolbar buttons. But I would suggest that you get used to the hotkeys. Although because we do so many hotkeys to get this functionality, the toolbar is kind of useful. So it depends on your preference, what you feel is faster. But I hope this is useful to you.